name is Rasa. I am a master student in construction management, and I'm graduating in a couple of months. And my topic today is related to my master thesis, and it's named Vertical Gardens to Tackle Climate Change. The things which I am going to talk about today, how I found out about them. Of course, I read a lot. I also had questionnaires with the community, and I had interviews with the experts, with people who live in green buildings, with the ones who design and build them. So first of all, I will have a short talk about climate change and how it affects us as humans. We'll discuss possible ways to mitigate global warming, and of course, one of them is going to be green facades. As I am quite a practical person, I decided to talk about money and the cost calculations of how much could that cost to green our cities and where to get this finance from, and we will come up with some conclusions. So climate change is quite a buzzword in today's society. Everyone talks about it, but the thing is that quite often we think about animals that giraffes suffer or elephants suffer. It's quite hard to feel sad about something which you have never seen in your life. But that's why I am asking to feel sorry for ourselves to start doing something, because we have flooding, we have storms, we have droughts, we have forest fires, and it affects our lives. It already affects our lives directly, as people have to flee the areas they are living. So with that idea that it affects us, we have to start doing something. I believe that you have seen this graph many times. It's the temperature rising in the previous couple hundreds of years. Of course, Lithuania, together with the other countries in the European Union, has signed up the climate agreement, the Paris Agreement, which aim is to stop the global warming by 2% due to the pre-industrial era. Is that enough? We don't know. Is it possible? We also don't know, because the climate is a very complicated process. But what we truly know is that it's basically our fault. So we have to do something. And this is how we went to the cities, as city is very unnatural from the nature's point of view. But for example, it's very dense. It has a lot of people in one area, one species only living. It's very tall. In the valley, it's not normal to have something which is taller than a tree. And all of our buildings are taller than that. Also, it ruins how the water is absorbed, how the wind works, and how the temperature works in this area. I believe, and the experts have the same idea, that nature usually has its own way and it knows what to do. So which is how the idea to bring the nature back to the cities came here. Of course, we cannot bring the trees here, because there are buildings, there are pavements, there are roads. We need to move by ourselves. So quite an easy option should be planting the walls and the roofs. Technically, walls are a bit more complicated because it requires modules, and one wall is to the north, another to the south, and roofing is easier. Basically, it's some insulation, drainage, some soil, other textiles, and then plants. The more soil we have, definitely you can have more of those green plants. Okay, so what I did, I tried to calculate how much money do you need to have if you want to have a green building. So if we have the total budget of a house, you need plus 5% to have a green roof and plus 25% to have a green walls. I calculated that it's fully green, like everything, okay? And if you have everything planted, it's over 30%. Is that a lot of money? We'll see in a minute. Of course, green buildings have quite a lot of advantages. It helps to work with humidity, with temperature, with urban heat islands. It's hard to measure, but it's really aesthetically satisfying, and plus it works well with our psychological health. But I decided to count on how much CO2 does it absorb. So in order to absorb one ton of CO2, you have to spend around 8,000 euros. So that shows that it's not the most efficient way, most probably, because let's say that a family of 3 simply breathes out this much of CO2 for a year, simply by breathing, by not doing anything. Of course, the easiest thing would be to say the government has to give the money, and we can choose, and we can work out with that. But I strongly believe that people really need to believe in the ideas, and they need to feel like they have chosen to do that ourselves to make something work. So I looked up in some legal ways to invest in that. So one of my ideas was that we could work with infrastructure fees. As in the cities, you need to pay for the government this infrastructure fee, which is basically for something in the future that the government will build a road for you or something like that. If we could make a discount for people who decide to have a greener living, I think more investors would like to have green buildings and invest in the greenery instead of this infrastructure fee. The other idea was building certificates, as not many buildings are certified in Lithuania right now, but I would suggest that in the city centers, in some time, we could only allow to build certified buildings, I mean LEED, BREEAM, or some national certificates. Because if you are building in the city center, let's say capital city, you already have the funds to do that, so why not to do that in a good way? The other idea is already working actually. It's maximum building areas, as we have, when you have a land plot, you cannot build a house as big as the land plot. There is like a maximum coverage area, and the more greenery you have, the bigger could be the building. I think it could be interesting in the cities where the land is really expensive. The other ideas are not as good, but I thought that about investments in drainage, because when we have grass, it absorbs water normally, and the roofs are basically just the cause of floodings, because everything falls to the ground at 1 second. So in green areas, we could spend less on drainage. Yeah, so instead of conclusions, I wanted to ask to end by this quote, which is known to many, I guess: if you want to change the world, start from yourself, because we have to move bit by bit, step by step, because it's the only way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasa, for an interesting presentation. And a short question for you, maybe. Yes. What do you think would be the main enablers for the wider spread of vertical gardens in Lithuania?
Usually right now, it's quite an extravagant thing. So, because normally the people who have a lot of money just only invest in that. So one of the things would be examples. The more we do, and not everyone understands. For example, when it touches green roofing, which have much more potential in our area, because we don't see that. And when we have winter in Lithuania, the green facades don't look that good. But not all people understand that it's a green building. For example, most of you have been to the Swedbank terrace or in the Quad room in Vilnius. It looks like normal terrains. People do not even understand that it's a planted roof. So more knowledge and more good examples at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's a very good answer, I guess. So thank you again.